You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about accepting who you are. There's a lot of times we might say to ourselves, gosh, I can't believe I'm here. My life is going by. Or you might take those moments where you look at yourself in the mirror and you're super proud of yourself. Or maybe sometimes you're talking negatively and you're just putting negative expectations on yourself. Either way, today is the day where we turn that page, where you accept who you are and where you are in life. But to do that, we have to get real. We have to assess and also look forward into the future as to what we want, and look back at the past in our efforts to learn and see how we can become better and learn from our mistakes and the times we failed. So we're going to be taking your calls today. Feel free to reach out to us at 800-333-0001. Also, we're going to be joined in our next segment by Scarlett Novak. Now, she has what is called DID, Dissociative Identity Disorder, very similar to what some might know as have multiple personalities. And she's going to share with us how she had to accept who she is, along with all of her other 12 alters. So you don't want to miss that interview. You'll be learning so much from Scarlett. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hi. My name is Angela, and I have a question.
Yes.
So recently I have broken up with my boyfriend, and I'm trying to not rely so much on, being around other people, because he took up a large majority of my time was being with him. And now that I'm alone more, I'm realizing that I don't really know what to do. It's not as fun for me as I think it is for other people to be alone. And I'm always asking people if they want to join me to do things like get milk. So I wanted to know, how can I kind of let myself have fun while I'm by myself and not feel down like the whole time?
Well, and can I ask you a question? Was the breakup your idea or his?
It was a bit mutual, because we started to become more different.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the reason why I wanted to... It is still painful, yeah. And the reason why I wanted to ask you that question, and I've been through so many different breakups over the years, so I understand. The thing is always remember, right? Like your life is like a book. You're the main character, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody who comes into our life, they are supporting characters. Even all the different people you date, your mentors, your friends, they all add to the overall life story of you. And so, number one, when you think about self-care and the loneliness that you feel right now from this breakup, I want you to remember that that person came into your life. You learned a lot about loving someone. You learned a lot about yourself. And then do your best to set that relationship free, because the right partner is coming. And you want to believe in that. And the only way to find that right partner is to set that one free. Now, by doing that, it is going to give you this time, this great time where you can grow as a person. And I can understand not wanting to be alone or wanting to do things with people. But sometimes our most proudest moments in our life come when we do it ourselves. And I can relate to that myself, because being legally blind, it would be really easy for me to always depend on people. Can you go with me here? Can you read this to me? But there's times that I have to have a heart-to-heart Nancy moment, and I'm like, you know what, girl? You will figure this out. And I want you to have that same heart-to-heart with yourself. You can buy that milk on your own. And in fact, the beauty of being on your own is if it takes you a half an hour to find the right milk, you got it, right? There's no pressure, right?
That's true. That is very true.
Right. And then even going out to eat by yourself, that might seem a little bit intimidating at first, but I want you to do it. And I want you to go and take a magazine. You have your phone if you need it. But I want you to go and I want you to listen and just be and get whatever you want to eat, whatever you want to drink. And, sit somewhere semi-social if you want to sit at the bar or around other tables. And just allow yourself to be proud of who you are, standing on your own 2 feet confidently. And then my last piece of advice is this is the best time to harness your skills. Meaning that what happens when that great partner comes down the line, right? And you want to make them a really great dish, a really good meal, like you've made it your whole life. You're this expert gourmet cook. Well, this is the time to learn those skills, right? This is the time to learn an instrument. To better yourself. This is the time to take that continuing education class in the evenings and learn Spanish, right? Whatever you want to do. Because you don't have to report to anybody. You have all this freedom. So, and freedom is not a life sentence. It is an opportunity to grow. Can you do that?
Yes, I will definitely try it. I think that sounds like good advice.
And you know what? You are going to be awesome. And you want to just prepare yourself for that next relationship, because at that point you are going to have to give over some of your time, right? But right now, you just do whatever you want, girl. You do it. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Have fun. I want you to have fun. You got it. Okay. Thank you for calling in.
I will
Perfect.
have fun.
I say it louder. One more time.
I will have fun.
Exactly. You will. You will. All right. Thank you for calling in. Okay. Have a great day. Bye-bye. I love that she feels that way, right? Because sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to be free, to be alone. But, the word alone, it sounds lonely. It sounds singular, right? But there's so much great time, effort, reading, learning a new language, instruments, spending time with friends, whatever it is. That's such great, valuable time that you want to really harness and soak up. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do another call on their line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, hello. I have a question.
Yes, what's going on?
I wanted to know, why do I get so stressed about things that I have no control of?
You, me, everybody in this room, everybody listening, we're right there with you, right? Why do we get so stressed? So let me ask you a question. If you could say one thing right now, one thing that is just stressing you out, keeping you up at night, first thing you think about in the morning, what is that?
School.
Okay. And what is so stressful about school?
I don't know. Getting good grades, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you study and if you prepare and if you even have a study partner and you bounce questions off of each other, don't you think you would get good grades if you actually prepared in advance?
Probably.
Probably. But sometimes we don't because we procrastinate, right? We kind of have this overwhelming feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm paying for school. I got to get good grades. And if I don't get good grades, then I'm not going to get the job I want. And oh my gosh, there's this party and I want to go to that, but I got to study, right? If you give power to all of that chaos, it will bombard you, right? But what you want to do is you want to bring organization to that chaos, right? A lot of family households do this too. Organized chaos, right? There's people yelling, screaming, going in different directions. Same with an office, right? It's the same thing with how we organize our life. There's always going to be the to-dos. There's always going to be the unexpecteds that come our way, the deadlines, the expectations, all of that. But you have to just kind of put down the hammer and say, you know what? I hear all of you. I see all of you. I'm well aware that these are triggers in my life. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to look at my deadlines, meaning the tests I have to study for, the papers and when they're due, and I'm going to do them in advance. And you know what? If there's a party I want to go to on Friday night, then I'm going to get everything I need done by Thursday. It's just putting some organization to your life so you don't have to be so stressed out. Is that something you can do?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, do you keep a schedule?
Yes.
Okay. Do you keep to it? Do you honor that schedule? Or do you get a little bit kind of,
Most of the time.
wiggly? Most of the time? Okay, so here's the thing. I want you to keep to that schedule. Treat school like it's a career, okay? And if you do that, I know you'll be living full out, okay? And the stresses, they're never going to go away. It's just about managing them and not giving them that power, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. Bye.
And bye-bye. And for everybody listening today, it's really about accepting who we are, our circumstances, and doing what it takes so that we can thrive and live our lives full out. So stay with us, because in our next segment, we're going to be joined by Scarlett Novak. Again, she has DID, dissociative identity disorder. People know it as multiple personalities. But the thing is, even with these 12 alters, she lives full out. She has accepted who she is, and we're going to learn a lot from her. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, professional skateboarder Tony Hawk here with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck to remind you to get moving every day.
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you'll have the energy to skate through anything.
Nice play on words, Doc.
That's how I roll, Bugs. So whether you like to work the half pipe,
now that's catching air,
kick the soccer ball around, or dance in your room,
just move it your way.
For an hour a day.
The way you like to move, as long as you're moving.
Carve out some time every day and get active. Because it's time to do a 180 on what you think exercise is.
Because it can be whatever you want it to be. So be a player.
Be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day, Doc. Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov.
Head online to get tips on great ways to get moving every day.
At www.letsmove.gov. Let's hear that one more time, Doc. That's www.letsmove.gov. A message from the Ad Council and HHS.
Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. At 7 I shower. Every day I wake up
For
at
those
5.
caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
I'm Sarah, and this is my story.
I'm Ellen, and this is my story.
One night, I was at a bar. I was having fun with my friends.
I
had one too many drinks.
I
got behind the wheel to go home.
I got a cab to go home.
All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road. It happened so quickly, I barely had time to react.
The cabbie barely had time to react.
I swerved.
The cab swerved.
I can't believe it. I hit a guy.
I cannot believe it. The cabbie just missed a guy.
I wish I took a cab.
Thank goodness I took a cab.
You have the choice to save a life. Don't drive buzzed. It's a decision you'll never regret. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
If you think depression is all in a person's head, you're right. It's a brain illness. And like other illnesses, it has symptoms. Depression can make those who suffer from it feel hopeless. It can even lead to suicide. Learn how to stop depression from taking another life. Call SAVE, Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, 1-888-511-SAVE, on the web at save.org.
I'm Alec Baldwin. Like any parent, I'm concerned about children's health. Many kids don't eat as they should and are at risk for long-term health problems like diabetes and heart disease. But here's good news. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other low-fat vegetarian foods can protect our kids and keep the rest of the family healthy too. For a free booklet, call the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine at 1-877-685-KIDS or visit www.kidsgethealthy.org.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we are talking about accepting who you are, right? We all have these attributes that we like about ourselves, we're proud of. And then there's always going to be those parts of us that we wish we could change or go back and do a redo, right? But the goal of life is to accept who you are, to really get to know the ins and the outs of us and be proud of that. So our inspirational guest today is a perfect example of what it means to live full out. Her name is Scarlett Novak, and she is one of 12 alters that all have a condition called DID, Dissociative Identity Disorder. Some might know of this as like multiple personalities, but it actually does have a more technical name, and she's going to share with us what that is and how all these alters communicate together and how she has learned to accept herself and all the positives of that system. So I'd very much like to welcome Scarlett to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for educating us on what DID is, because, you know, we see it in the movies, we might read about it, and it's kind of got this like mysterious factor to it. And so to actually talk to you and be able to kind of know what it's really like to live with this is very helpful. So can you first of all start off by sharing with our community what dissociative identity disorder is?
Sure. So DID is a dissociative disorder that results from childhood trauma. It's basically the brain's way of protecting a child who's gone through complex, repeated trauma by saying, this didn't happen to you, it happened to this person. And in that way, creating alters or other identities that hold those different parts of trauma or hold different roles in order to protect the brain and protect the child.
Now, do you know for your system, for your community there, do you know when this abuse started in your life?
So we think it was around 2 years old, but we are not positive. With most people with DID, there's a lot of trouble finding out what the specifics of trauma and everything like that, but we do have certain trauma memories, and we believe around 2 or 3 is when that trauma started, or the more severe trauma started.
So you're how old today, Scarlett?
21.
You're 21. And so, again, forgive me if this question is naive in any way, but again, we're learning from you. So when your entire identity went through this abuse at 3 years old, what early memory do you contain? Because there are 12 different alters. So do you remember that 3-year-old self, the childhood you, or did your identity in this group come at a later date?
So I don't really have too many childhood memories. We have different parts that hold different childhood memories or different alters. Like, for example, we have one child alter who holds most of our happy childhood memories, and then we have several other child alters that hold trauma memories and things like that. And I do have some trauma memories, but these are things that I found out later on versus just holding them to begin with. Back when I was younger, I didn't really have any trauma memories. Other alters held those memories. So it was a discovery through therapy that I was able to start finding childhood memories and trauma memories.
Got it. And I know that you're still finding that there may be more alters that you're getting to know, but there's been this consistent 12 for several years now. Can you introduce us to those different alters, who they are, what age they are?
Sure. So we have alters ranging from 4 years old, excuse me, all the way up to 24 years old. And most of the child alters that we have are trauma holders. So we have one alter named Aaliyah, who holds a lot of the trauma of our mother was sick when we were younger. So she holds a lot of the trauma having to do with that. and we have other altars that hold trauma having to do with sexual abuse and other abuse like that. And then we have one altar named Kay, and she holds all of our happy childhood memories. So she doesn't hold any trauma at all. She holds all of the good memories and the happy memories. And then we have the teenage altars, who we have a 14-year-old named Ryder and a 16-year-old named May. And they kind of just, Ryder's more of a protector of the system, and he kind of takes care of the others in the system and keeps them safe, as well as Jax and Ahina, who are 21. And May is more of just the teenage altar. She's not very trusting of adults, and she has a very much a teenage personality. And then we have me, Amelia, and like I said, Jax and Ahina, and all of us are 21 years old. And we all have pretty big roles in the system. Amelia was the person who was out the most for the majority of our life, and she just kind of got what we call host burnout from being out so much and from dealing with trauma memories. So a couple years ago, I stepped in order to help take care of the system and make sure that we were safe and that we were able to continue to function. And then we have John, who's 24, and he's kind of like the moral compass and the big brother of our system. He doesn't really come out much, but he's there for everybody else in the system.
Wow. Thank you so much for introducing us to everybody, because that does make up who you are. I mean, we're talking today about accepting who we are, accepting who you are. And I think it's getting to know, in your case, the different altars that make up your system. And for our community that's listening today, it's just really understanding who we are. Who we are as a child does not mean that dictates who we are as an adult, right? And you just happen to have all these different altars within you.
Yes, exactly. And definitely we work as a team for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I know you keep saying the word system. So is that the most common word, or do they call it also a family, or what are some other terms for the whole unit?
Yeah, the most common word you're going to hear is probably system, but people also use collective, committee, family, inner family is a big one, others, tribe, just whatever feels most comfortable to people with DID, and it's definitely an individual choice. Different people with DID use different things, whatever feels best for them.
And then is alter for an individual, is alter the common term? Or, sometimes we see in movies people say personalities, like a multiple personality, or, what is common there?
Yeah, alters is probably the most common term. However, people use insiders, again, inner family, others, parts. It really, again, depends on what people are most comfortable with and what they feel like fits best.
Got it.
Will sometimes use the parts as well.
You'll use parts also? Okay. Well, I think it's really nice to get to know all the ins and outs of everybody, all the different altars. And what I want you to do, Scarlett, is stay with us, because we are going to go to a commercial break. But everybody listening today, when we hear the rest of Scarlett's story, she has these altars, but we all have to get to know ourselves and be proud of who we are and find a way to function and heal from the past and look forward into the future. So it's all about living full out, accepting who we are. So stay with us. We're going to be coming right back after this break with Scarlett Novak. I'm Nancy Solari with the Living Full Out Show. We'll be back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, Use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and today we're talking about accepting who we are and really embracing the flaws we have, but also our successes. And in order to do that, you have to look within. You have to accept the good and the bad and be able to grow from there. Now, our inspirational guest today, Scarlett Novak, her and her alters within a system all have a condition called DID, Dissociative Identity Disorder. And she's sharing with us today just kind of how they all work together and communicate and how she is able to live full out even within this system. So I'd like to welcome Scarlett back to the show.
Thank you for having me, Sam.
Absolutely. Now, Scarlett, I have a quick question for you. So in our last segment, you were so great to explain every altar and kind of how they all came to be about. But who was your system born as? Who was that first original person?
Well, we actually look at it in the way of structural dissociation, which is a term that basically means everybody's born with an unintegrated identity. And rather than us coming together as one person, those different parts of us became even more separate. And therefore, there wasn't really an original that we see it as. However, the body and, Amelia was known as the person who was out when we were younger and things like that. That's what people knew us as, because that's what the body was named and things like that, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. And this next question I have for you, again, I hope this isn't a naive question, but every one of your alters has their own personality and has their own memories and own history and even probably their own goals going forward. Do your alters have alters? Do they have, kind of an existence beyond them?
So actually, with some people with CID, the alters do have alters, and that's usually called a subsystem. That's something that I'm actually finding out that I have a subsystem, and it's something that I'm exploring. And it can, again, it just depends on how the brain works and how the brain perceives the trauma and things like that. But yes, alters definitely can have alters, and
Got it.
That's not an uncommon thing.
Well, and it's interesting. A couple years back, we did interview Amelia. So it's wonderful to be with you today because she had mentioned you before, and now I get to interview you. So I've actually met both of you. And, the thing that's so interesting is you both had such vibrant personalities, and I know you're kind of the front person now, but when you're not in the host position, let's say back when Amelia was the host, or maybe today, she's not the front person, you are, are all the alters aware of what's going on? Like, are they aware that we're in this interview now? Or when you're not the host, when you're not the lead personality, where do you go?
So all alters are aware that we're doing this interview. That's because we talked about it beforehand. And with big things like that, we usually do talk about things beforehand. However, not all alters are aware of what's going on when other people are out all the time. Sometimes they are, and that's known as co-consciousness. However, we have a world inside of our mind that we call our inner world, and that is where alters go when they aren't out in control of the body. And that world is very similar. The best way I can describe it to somebody without DID is when you're dreaming, you're able to interact with things. You're in a different world, basically. That's inside your mind, and that's kind of what the inner world is. You're able to interact with people and things, and it's very similar to out here. It's just internal.
Now, since you're the host, do the other alters have to get permission to come out, or have you been out and about where maybe all of a sudden Blossom or May or John, another personality comes out?
There has been cases when alters will just come out. Usually it'll be a protector because they feel like maybe we're unsafe, or it'll be Kay, our child alter, because she sees something that she wants. However, we tend to try to work on communication as far as if somebody wants to come out, they let us know, and we work it out. So even if they can't come out at that moment, they get to come out soon. We very much believe in working as a team, since we don't think anybody's more important than anyone else. We're all a system that works together. So it's much less about control, and it's much more about cooperation and working as a team.
Got it. And in some ways, that's that family feel, like you're there to support each other. And and how do you handle certain things? Like, do you drive?
We personally don't drive, mostly because of the amount of anxiety it causes, but there is many people with DID that do drive and are able to drive. A lot of people with DID that drive actually have specific alters whose job is just to drive. Or some people with DID have specific alters whose job is just to cook or take care of the body and make sure that, teeth are brushed, showers happen, things like that.
Got it. And then, do you date yourself? I know Amelia and you had kind of different dating structures before, but how do you handle that?
Yes, so I do date. Right now, currently, I'm single, and I'm planning to be single for a while, just so I can work on myself. I'm currently in a intensive outpatient program to help as far as working on like our mental illness and trauma and things like that. And I feel like just focusing on myself and my system is the best choice. But I do want to date again in the future, and I have dated in the past. And
what kind of conversation do you have to have with that person to kind of when you first meet them, do you share with them that you have DID, or do you let them kind of get to know the other personalities, the other alters, or how do you do that?
So we personally wouldn't date anyone at this point who wasn't comfortable and aware of our DID and wasn't comfortable getting to know the alters and being friends with the alters in our system, just because they are, we're a team. Like I said, none of us are more important than the others, and we want anybody who's involved in our life in that way to understand that and be comfortable with that. And we actually we've dated quite a few other people with DID, and we prefer to date other people with DID just because I feel like it's easier for them to understand, and it just it's been a good experience dating other people with DID for us.
Well, and that makes sense in general, right? I think people tend to, embrace dating someone who has similar interests to them, and I can see how that would be really a comfortable, safe place to be when you're dating somebody. Now, I'm just curious, there's a lot of shows out there. We've seen movies like Split, and, different times when in a movie there might be a character, again, they would call it maybe multiple personalities in a movie, but do you feel like DID is well represented or sensationalized, and is there a good representation of it?
Unfortunately, there's not many good. There is some good representations out there. However, a lot of the representations out there are so sensationalized, and so Split is definitely very sensationalized, very unrealistic. And again, people with DID are statistically not any more likely to commit any type of crime or be violent or anything like that. So it does feed into that stigma. However, there's a new show that's come out on A&E called The Many Sides of Jane, and that's a docuseries, and I've heard very good things about that one, about a woman named Jane who lives with DID. And there's been several movies, such as Frankie and Alice, that have been pretty good representations. So there is some good representations out there. However, the majority, unfortunately, is not good representation of what it's like to live with DID.
And what is the prognosis for DID? I mean, does it contain at the 12 alters you are now? Or in going to therapy and to treatment, does it, over time, do you continue to, like an onion, peel away and find more alters? Or what is that prognosis?
Well, it depends on the person. Some people with DID only have 3 or 4 alters, and their whole life they only have 3 or 4 alters, while others find out that they have hundreds of alters. And there can also be something called integration and partial integration, where alters merge with one another, but that is something that personally has to be decided for the person with DID. We are more leaning towards just cooperating as a system and working as a team.
And today we're talking about accepting who you are. What have you had to do in terms of that work for yourself?
I think a lot of accepting, well, one, I think was accepting the trauma was a big one that took us a really long time. And even after getting past accepting the trauma, there's accepting that we have certain behaviors and certain thought patterns and things like that result from trauma and result from things like that need to be worked on and, need to be fixed, and really actually putting the work in and putting the work in therapy, doing therapy worksheets and things like that, and actually putting in the effort to make the changes that we need to make in order to be healthy and live the life that we want to live.
Well said. And honestly, I admire you and all the alters for giving us this gift of really the truth behind DID and what it's like to live with it. And you're a perfect example of what it means to live full out. And tell them all thank you for sharing you with us today. And, we will just continue to wish you all the best with treatments.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, Scarlett.
You too.
And for everybody listening today, she has learned to accept who she is and all of her alters and her past, and today is the day for you to do the same. Let's continue to go through this show, peeling away the layers, but also being accepting and proud of who we are, the good and the bad, right? It's all wrapped up into the being that we are today. So we're going to be taking your calls right after this next break, so make sure to call in. It's 800-333-0001. Let's take today to really accept who you are, get excited about the future and all the good growth that can come your way. That's what it means to live full out. I am Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text.
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. So many comments on my comment. Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Mom, what? Huh? Pew, pew. What'd you say?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath. You can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all three Jonas Brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearms storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
Be a football
I want to be
stadium.
a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What?
What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
To accept who you are, you want to consider, what have you learned from your past? How can you take that and evolve to be a better version of you today? And then you want to take today and really try to nurture yourself, empower yourself to move forward, and really go for your future dreams. That is what it means to live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about accepting who you are. And I know sometimes that's easier said than done, right? We're judgmental. We have expectations. We feel sometimes life should go a certain way, or it's taking forever to get there, right? I'm raising my hand. I've been there too. But the thing is, we have to have patience, and we have to know that some of the greatest attributes of who we are, the experiences that we will treasure the most, they come unexpectedly. So it's not about figuring life out and being quote, quote, perfect or even normal, whatever normal is, right? It's about being an original. And when you can be an original, then you're really living full out and able to accept who you are. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for joining us. How can we help you today?
Well, I'm actually getting ready to celebrate my 56th birthday next week, and that's usually a time where I think about just goals that I've set for myself and trying to stay on track. And particularly right now, I just tend to look back at past goals and looking through education and profession, marriage, and raising our children who are now in their 20s, and just looking through years of volunteer life, I was always able to kind of set goals, especially around the birthday time, and stay on track. And for the first time in my life, I'm finding myself just really stalling or uncertain of my next set of goals. I'm content, and I just don't seem to feel the passion with this emptiness that I was hoping I could find. I've starting projects and new hobbies and trying different things, but I don't feel that sense of alignment or that real purpose. And I was just kind of thinking, wondering how a good way that I could look to set the next level of goals at this stage.
You know what? I love that you're asking this question. And so here's what I want you to think about. You have built a full life. And so it's not like, in our early 20s, right, we can take little goals, or as a teenager, or even through our 30s and 40s, right? But here, at being almost 56, you've layered so much. You have so many people weaved into the fabric of you that it's not like you can just turn that new page and leave everything in the past, right? So what I want you to do is look at your life like a pie. I don't know if you've ever played Trivial Pursuit, that game, right? That you said little things, and they had pies that you would put in there. So it's kind of like that, but just consider a pie anyway, and the different slices of that. And one slice will always be you as a mother. So you don't want to be helicopter mom or nosy, but you want to continue to love them in whatever that way that is. Care packages, call in to say hi, researching something for them if they need it, just being of service in that way. Another slice would be being a good friend, being a good spouse, even that volunteer work. All of those are individual slices. And as you consider your weeks, in your to-do list that you're putting together, it's how can I tap the wheel? How can I invest in each piece of those pies? Then there's this pie that's your, personal development pie, right? Maybe it's now time that you can read more. Maybe you take on a new hobby. And then the great thing is you want to have a pie that is just left for self-discovery, right? Trying things. When people invite you to something, always say yes. Even if you're like, I don't know, I don't really play tennis, or I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm going to like that movie. Say yes anyway. That goes in that discovery pie. But if you do that, it isn't about big, grandiose goals anymore. At some point, life is about taking your foot off the pedal and cruising and enjoying it and letting the wind, blow through your hair. Can you do that?
I love that answer. Thank you so much. I always felt like I needed to add some other big piece to the pie, and I love just enjoying what I have, touching on each piece, and saying yes to everything that comes my way.
Absolutely. And there's times in our life where we do have to put pedal to the metal and go full force. But there's other times, like right now for you, where I would cruise in that convertible car and just enjoy everything that you've built. Okay?
Thank you so much, Nancy. That's perfect.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for calling in, and we'll be thinking of you and wishing you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. And for everybody listening today, it is about accepting who you are and where you are in life, and just nipping away at those goals as you can. But more so, the big picture, the whole goal of life is to enjoy it. If you're constantly on that hamster wheel running and running and running and proving yourself, woo-wee, exhausting. So don't do that. Turn that new page today, like we talked about in the beginning, and let your story write itself. And some days you just need to chill in bed and watch TV, and other days go full force and try something new. But most of all, have fun. That is what it means to live full out. Know that we believe in you here at the Living Full Out family, and we'll be seeing you on the next show. Here's to you living full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.